Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hello everyone, this is Vinay. I welcome you all to my channel Astrologic. So today I am going to introduce you to Maha Vastu. So in this video, let us try and understand what is Vastu and why it is important for you, for all of us, right? So many of you might have heard about Vastu and may already know a few things about it. But for people who would heard about Vastu but really wondering what it is all about, right? So I hope that this video is definitely going to help them. So let's begin. Uh, so before I start the introduction to Maha Vastu, if you watch the video completely, I'm going to talk about a secret technique. Um, Whenever we have toilets in improper zones or locations, right? So you would understand what is it all about in few minutes, right? So let's understand few things. Okay, so what is Vastu first of all, right? So Vastu means Vastu, which is nothing but things. So whatever things that we keep in our house, right? So they get kind of imprinted in our subconscious mind, and they create a certain map in our subconscious mind. Okay, so that has certain repercussions. It can be both positive or negative. So what is the underlying concept? We want to talk about the underlying concept of Mahavastu. And before that, why is it important? So when there is an imbalance, whether it is a residential house or a commercial property, right? So it can cause many issues, many problems. Okay, so and when we go deep and try to analyze, we find that there are certain Vastu related issues there. So we'll get more and more clarity when we go ahead. So what is the underlying concept, right? So we many of us know about Panchatatvas, right? Jal, which is water, Vayu, air, then we have fire, earth, and sky. So this is what we call as Panchatatvas, and the entire Mahavastu, the underlying concept of Mahavastu lies on these five tattvas. Now, earlier days, we used to see a lot of Vastu consultants and a lot of people who used to talk about, generic Vastu. For example, in Northeast, you should have water tank or water sump, and in Southwest, you should have master bedroom, or in the Southwest, on top you should have the overhead tank, right? So these are very generic Vastu terminologies, but Mahavastu is actually something which has a lot of rationale and scientific approach when it comes to looking at Vastu holistically and solving problems related to Vastu. So what happens when Vastu problems arise? Various problems, it can be health related, it can be money related or wealth related, right? So it can be related to fame, right? So on and so forth. Some chronic diseases, right? And doing well or not doing well in the business. So the lot of things which get impacted when the Vastu of a particular residential house or a commercial property, if it is not right or if it is not balanced, it is not in the right state. So when you should go for Vastu corrections, right? So it is not required that everyone has to go for Vastu corrections. What happens is, when you take up astrology remedies, when you go to an astrologer, a good astrologer, and then that astrologer would have analyzed your horoscope thoroughly and would have given you, some very good remedies. And even after performing those remedies which were told to you, right, even then if you are not getting rid of your issues in say 2 to 3 months, right, so you're still going through serious issues in your life, then there is a very high probability that the vastu at the place where you are living may be troubling you, right? So that's when ideally you should go for vastu correction, because vastu consultation and correction, this is a little bigger project in the sense that it consumes a lot of time and efforts, and it is also slightly expensive when compared to your astrological consultation. Why is it expensive? Because when I was to expert, right, so when someone who is really experienced comes to your place to study your vastu or do a consultation, right, so he has to invest in certain things. So he will have his own equipments, right, so we will have our own equipments. We will have a draftman, a person who knows AutoCAD, who actually prepares the building drawing, right. And if you are little far off, you may have to provide the conveyance charges, so on and so forth. So we also go to different cities at times, right, so which is completely paid by the person who is wanting to do the consultation. So that way it is little expensive and also time consuming, because one visit sometimes may not help, so may have to do at least two visits to ensure that we have covered or we have collected all the sensitive information that is required, because it's a little laborious process when compared to studying your horoscope. So I hope you understood about this. So basically, what happens is, as I was saying, these are the five key underlying concept of Panchatatvas, right? So the jal, the water, is something which creates the air. The air creates the fire. Fire creates the earth. Earth creates the sky, and sky in turns creates jal or water. Okay. So this is the underlying concept. So Jal is your north, your entire north zone is called the water zone or the Jal zone. Then you have your east, from northeast to north west, right? So northeast to northwest, sorry, northeast to southeast is your Vayu or air. So that is the zone. Then your southeast corner is fire. Then you have your southeast to southwest. So from the middle of south to the left, you have the earth or the Prithvi Tattva, what we call, and from your southwest to your northwest, so that is the sky or the Akash Tattva. Okay, so this is how the Pancha Tattvas actually govern the entire zone in the place where you are living. Okay, so this is the underlying concept, which is very scientific, and we have seen it working based on the nature of, or the attributes of, or the characteristics of these panchatattvas. For example, fire is the place in the southeast corner, what you are seeing in triangle. The color of that zone is red, and the fire is something from where the money or the source is generated, right? Your financial stability, your financial wellness is determined by how well your southeast is balanced, right? And in the same way, your north zone, right, so represents your opportunities, right, your opportunities and progress. So if you have to get better opportunities in life, then the north zone should be balanced. Okay, so we are going to talk about these attributes more in the next slide. This is again, as I said, is a very big subject,
So I'll not be able to cover everything, but I'm going to touch upon all the key aspects. I'll try to touch upon all the key aspects. In the right hand side, this picture you are seeing, oh, which tattva is going to destroy which tattva, right? So for example, Jal destroys Agni, which means that in the southeast corner, if you are having a bathroom or if you have a place which generates a lot of water, then it's going to extinguish or destroy your Agni. So if that happens, then you will have huge issues with your finances, right? So that's what it means. Then the Vayu or the air destroys the Prithvi Tattva. Then Agni destroys Akash or the sky, and the sky destroys Vayu, okay, and the Prithvi destroys Jal. For example, if you have things which are too heavy and they are kept in the north, right, so your entire water zone is going to get disturbed, right? So this is the logic, underlying logic, okay. So let's understand that now with little more details. So this is what we call as Vastu Chakra in the left hand side, what you see this picture, right? So what you can see here are the 16 attributes for each zone. There are 16 zones, right? So whenever we look at Vastu, right, so there are 16 zones. So and you can see attributes of each of those 16 zones, right? So north, as I mentioned, represents money and opportunities, right? So northeast will determine your health and immunity. North of northeast, then northeast will determine your clarity of mind. East of northeast, your recreation and fun. East will determine your how good is your social connection. So if you are having issues with your social association or social connection or networking, that means that your east zone is imbalanced or disturbed, right? So we'll have to fix that. Then your east of southeast, it talks about anxiety and your ability to analyze things, right? And your southeast, as I mentioned before, talks about the fire or your cash liquidity. How is your cash flow? So your southeast is disturbed, that means you know you will have issues with your cash flow. Then your southeast talks about your power and confidence, right? So how powerful you are or how confident you are. Then your south zone talks about your relaxation and your fame, and your south of southwest talks about your expenditure or waste, right? So typically this is where the toilet should come. There are three zones for toilet. This is one of the ideal zone. Then your southwest talks about your relationship and skill. So if you are having issues with your relationships, right, then definitely your southwest might have got disturbed. So that's the indication it is giving. Then your how good is your education is going to be, and how good is your savings going to be, right? So that is determined by your west of southwest in your house. So you can see the map of a pictorial view of a top view of a plan, right? House plan or the floor plan, and you can we fit that this Vastu Chakra on top of it at the exact center point, and then wherever you see these 16 zones and the corresponding attributes of those 16 zones. Then west talks about your gains and profits, right? So if you are not getting your profits, if you are not earning enough, or if you are having issues with your gains and profits, then definitely your west zone would have got disturbed. Then west of northwest talks about your depression, your low moods, and your northwest talks about support banking. If your northwest is disturbed, severely, then no matter what you do, it will become difficult to get bank loan, any kind of loans, right? So that is when we have to check the uh, northwest zone. Then north of northwest talks about your sex and your attraction, right? So how attractive you are, so that's determined by your north of northwest. So these are the 16 zones which are there in Maha Vastu, and each of these zones are also ruled by certain devatas. Okay, so we can activate each of these zones by use of those devatas as well, which is again, it's going to take a lot of time if I go deep into that. So let's understand now what is zone balancing, right? So even before you start doing any remedies, the first thing to do is to do zone balancing. Okay, so what is zone balancing? We spoke about the 16 zones, right? So we have to ensure that all these 16 zones are balanced. So how it is done? Again, it is a technical process where we have AutoCAD, person who knows AutoCAD, right? It can be done manually also. There is a technique to do it manually also, but which is it is very time consuming. So typically we have a draftman who comes and um, prepares the layout or the map of your house or your commercial shop or commercial property. Right, so once it is done, so it is by using AutoCAD, all these 16 zones are derived using AutoCAD. All the 16 zones of your house is determined. The key thing here is to establish the exact north. Okay, we have to establish the exact north. Sometimes what you think is north facing may not be exactly north facing. Okay, there will be some tilt by about a few degrees, right? The moment it is beyond 5 degrees, then the entire calculation goes for a toss. So we have to ensure that the north is fixed properly, right? And then then we try to analyze which zone on the right hand side. You are seeing the bar chart, so this is called bar chart zone balancing. So once we establish the correct directions, and we have a proper plan of your house or your commercial property, then what we do is basically we go for looking at how the zones are distributed, right? All the 16 zones, you can see all the 16 zones here, right? So then there is a calculation to check which zone is extended and which zone is exhausted, right? So this is the center line, line of balance. Okay, the center line is the line of balance. This is the upper balance and this is the lower balance. So through this we have to understand that the ideal situation is that all the zones are balanced, which means they are very close to the line of balance, the center line. So what does it mean? That means that the south zone, as an example, if you can see here with 115 points or so, is extended beyond the upper balance. So we need to exhaust this south zone by using certain techniques so that it comes down to the line of balance. Similarly, you can see that east of southeast is totally exhausted. This is extended and this is exhausted. Okay, so we have to extend this. Now how do we extend this? So there are certain techniques by doing certain things in the next zone, right, or by transferring some of the energy from this zone to this zone, right? We try to enhance it, and then therefore we try to balance it in such a way that all the zones are within this band of lower and upper balance. So once this is done, we say now that the zone is balanced. So this is the very first step in correct in Mahavastu correction. That is the reason why it is time consuming, and it is also little expensive, these kind of consultations, because it involves the engineers, it involves uh, purchase of certain items. So there is like the regular vastu, or what was earlier known as vastu, where people used to, right, destroy the toilets, or bring down the walls right, so on and so forth. So those kind of things are never required in Mahavastu. Okay, so there is no need for any kind of destruction or extra construction when it comes to Mahavastu. The house is going to be the way it is. Okay, so we will use certain techniques to either extend or exhaust or to block certain things. So what do I mean by block? For example, say your toilet is in an incorrect or improper zone, then there are techniques to block that particular toilet using color strip, so that our metals color strip or different metals, so that the bad effect of that particular toilet is nullified. So this is about zone balancing. And what happens when you do the zone balancing is that so you what is the benefit? The benefit is that whatever negative effects which were there, for example, as I said, say let's take southeast, right? So fire, quick cash liquidity, right? So if you are having cash liquidity, which means that this zone is disturbed. This zone is disturbed either through higher water accumulation in this particular zone. So that now needs to be balanced. For example, you have a bathroom in this place, right? You have a bathroom in this place, so which means you have running water, which is destroying your fire. So we have techniques to ensure that this toilet is blocked, so that you start seeing improvement in your cash liquidity. And it is practical and it happens, right? So it might sound weird when I'm talking about this, but this is there are hundreds of used cases or case studies where we see this happening. Okay, so I hope you understood this. This is a little difficult to understand in the first go. Okay, so at this point of time, what you should remember that yes, there are 16 zones, and each of these 16 zones has certain attributes, certain things associated with that. Okay, so it's you can see it's 360-degree, which means that all of your life problems in one way or the other are covered in these 16 zones. Okay, and then once we have the floor plan, and once we establish north and all the directions properly in your house or your commercial shop, then we go for zone balancing, which means that we try to negate the ill effects of any extension or any shortage in any particular zone. Okay, so then moving on, uh, let's now see how Mahavastu is related to astrology, right? So astrology and Vastu, definitely they have an interconnection, right? So uh, Vastu is like a sister to astrology, in the sense that each of the zones, or each direction or each zone is also governed by a planet. The moment we talk about planet, it is astrology, right? So the northwest is governed by moon, north is governed by Mercury, northeast is governed by Jupiter, then east is governed by Sun, southeast is governed by Venus, south is governed by Mars, southwest is governed by Ketu and Rahu, mainly Rahu, and then we have west governed by Saturn, right? So, and the center place is Brahmasthana is what we call. So, even by just looking at a horoscope, if for someone, Sun is a malefic planet, and Sun is giving very bad results, then we can say that there is an indication that in his particular house where he lives, the east zone is also disturbed, right? So then we may have to go and fix his east zone, right? So then when you fix your east zone, what happens if that person is having issues with social association or networking or connections? then that part is going to be taken care of. Okay, so can astrology remedies help in addressing Vastu problems? Yes, to some extent. For example, what happens is, see, these are all very deep concepts, okay, and very sensitive concepts. You should try to understand is that, if someone's dasha or bhukti is very strong, okay, for example, I am going through Venus dasha, right? If I am going to Venus dasha and Venus is too benefic for me, is very favorable for me, right? Then what happens is, even if I have some issues in southeast, in my house, right, as per my vastu, disturbance in Vastu, then it gets nullified. Why? Because my Venus is very strong. So like that we have to start interpreting and consider all these aspects when we provide you the remedies. Okay, so finally, that we have seen that toilets, improper placing of toilets, or toilets in the improper zones, are one of the top reasons for many severe issues, right? So having a toilet in southwest, having toilets in northeast, right? I'm just giving you an example. There are three ideal zones for toilets, and if at all they are in improper zones, right, there is a technique to block them. So, right, so we can block them using certain metals, right, whether it is brass, copper, aluminum, right? So there are 4 or 5 types of metals. It doesn't require any kind of replacement of toilet, or moving the toilet from one place to another place, or breaking down the toilet or commode, etc. By using Maha Vastu techniques, we will be able to actually block it by just drilling half an inch or 1 inch on the floor, on the flooring of the toilet around that commode, whether it is an Indian commode or a Western commode, and then just placing certain things and then covering them up with white cement. Okay, so that will actually solve the problem which might be coming from the toilet. So these are some of the great techniques that you can see in Mahavastu, and if you are really interested in learning the entire Mahavastu course, right, so there are online classes conducted periodically. You can definitely reach out to us. It's going to be about 15 to 20 days class, and you can attend the entire course yourself. Okay, and if you are interested in taking up Vastu consultation for yourself or for your loved ones, you can reach out to us. Right, so let me quickly recall, recap the key things. So the first thing is zone balancing. Once we do zone balancing, then the next immediate thing is to look at what all things that you have kept in your place and where have you kept them. That is most important, right? So for example, where is your washing machine? Where is your refrigerator? Where is your gas stove? Right, so where is your study room? Okay, where have you kept or arranged your books? Where is your TV stand, your sofa set? Right, so people who would have passed away, your forefathers, where have you kept their pictures? Where is your puja room? How many photos or pictures of deities are there in your puja room? Where all you have put your pictures of the god, right, in your house? In which places? So all these things matter, right? So some of them might work well for you and some of them may not. So so when we take up this consultation, we do study all these things, and try to understand where the issue is coming from. For example, if someone is having a lot of mental disturbance, right, I'm just giving an example. So northeast corner is the one which gives the thoughts, the mental thoughts. So if you have washing machine, for example, in that place, right, then it will definitely cause disturbance. So this is just an example. So likewise there are many things. Okay, So we look at all these things and then we try to tell you where to keep what, right? So in Vastu, everything has its place. Okay, so it is supposed to be kept in that particular place. So we are going to guide you on all these aspects. Okay, and coming to one of the secret technique, which might reduce the ill effect. For example, with respect to your placement of your toilets. Let's say that you have toilet in your southwest or southeast or northeast. So northeast a strict no-no. Toilet in northeast is a strict no-no. But however, if it is already there, then we definitely need to block it. But you can use this technique for toilets in southwest and southeast. So if you have toilets in southwest or southeast, what you can do is you can keep rock salt in a small porcelain bowl. Okay, so it is supposed to absorb all the negativity, and every week you can replace that rock salt by flushing the old one in the commode. You can replace it with fresh rock salt every week. Okay, so by doing that, this would help to a certain extent. And you can also light a small zero candle red color bulb in that particular toilet. So that will also try to create the agni which is required, and it will try to balance your toilet to some extent. So these are some of the techniques, but only when we visit your place and thoroughly study your place, we'll be able to come up with exact and effective remedies. Okay, so lastly, thanks for watching this video so far, and visit our website astrologic.in, visit our Facebook page, follow us there, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and last but not the least, ensure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel